We begin on the campaign trail, where the Conservative leader is stirring debate. Pierre Poilievre wants mass murderers and other serious offenders to receive consecutive prison sentences. He's willing to use the notwithstanding clause to make it happen. It's a constitutional lever the federal government has never used. Catherine Cullen is the host of The House on CBC Radio. She has the latest on what Poilievre is proposing and how his rivals are responding.
Well, Andrew, this is the latest piece of Pierre Poilievre's tough on crime agenda. And this morning, he announced something that he has been foreshadowing for some time, that he would use the notwithstanding clause, basically the override section of the charter, in order to make it legal for judges to give mass murderers consecutive prison sentences. And he referred to a very pivotal case in all of this to help make his point, helps us understand what he's talking about here. Alexandre Bissonnette, the man who was accused and ultimately found guilty of the Quebec City mosque shooting. 6 people were killed, 6 more injured. The shooting itself, of course, happening in 2017. Monsieur Bissonnette was 27 at the time. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences, and the suggestion was that he wouldn't have the possibility of parole for about 50 years. Now, the Supreme Court weighed in on Alexandre Bissonnette's case. In a unanimous decision, the court said that not only do such punishments, so these being the consecutive punishments, the wait for parole, not only do such punishments bring the administration of justice into disrepute, but they are cruel and unusual by nature. Mr. Poilievre said today, no, he thinks it is cruel and unusual for anyone to have the possibility of parole at 25 years. Now, I think that word possibility is really important there. Mr. Poilievre was also asked by journalists, when's the last time you're aware of that somebody who committed a mass murder was actually let out after 25 years? He pointed to the fact that this is a relatively new court ruling, and essentially we would have to wait and see. But he made his case. The other party leaders reacted. Let's have a listen to what everyone is saying today.
This is completely obvious. The principle of a fair justice system is proportionality. And when you kill 6 people to be eligible to go back on the streets only 25 years later is not only disproportionate, but it is a violation of the charter rights of the victims and of their families. And I will use the charter to protect the charter.
Politicizing certain issues with respect to fundamental rights is a slippery slope that leads to further politicization. Being tough on crime, and being tough starts with being smart on crime. And it includes being tough on guns and gun violence. And I note that, with regret, that Mr. Poilievre has voted against every single gun control measure during his very long career as a career politician and member of the House of Commons. I think it's over 200 times.
We were looking at ways to close down its use or to restrict its use, because it's deeply problematic that provincial governments are undermining workers' rights and threatening to use the notwithstanding clause for that. Undermining human rights and using notwithstanding clause to do that. I think those are both very problematic things.
When you are in the position of a person that wants to be Prime Minister of Canada, you should rely more on improving justice system and laws than removing yourself from their application.
So Mr. Poilievre has put his stance forward there. As you can see, Andrew, all the other party leaders not so much in favor of what he is proposing. Worth noting that Jagmeet Singh talked about using the notwithstanding clause with regards to labor rights. That seems to be an obvious reference to Ontario reaching for the notwithstanding clause to try to get workers back to work just a few years ago. Saskatchewan also invoking the notwithstanding clause as part of their move on gender policies, making sure that parents know the pronouns that children are using in school. Also interesting the way Pierre Poilievre is talking about this, saying that because the notwithstanding clause is part of the charter, he's using the charter to protect the charter rights of the victims, which is perhaps a bit of a less conventional way of talking about this.
Yeah, sure. It is. What else is being pitched on the campaign trail?
Well, Donald Trump is also, once again, his shadow is being felt over the campaign trail as we hear the pitch from Liberal leader Mark Carney talking about securing Canadian sovereignty. And so Of course, we all understand that under the guise of Trump's comments about the 51st state. The actual nature of the announcement itself, it's about defense procurement. Mr. Carney pitching a new defense procurement agency that he says would streamline buying of equipment for Canada's military. He also talks about the importance of buying Canadian whenever possible, prioritizing the Canadian use of raw materials. They also want to create something that they would call Borealis, the Bureau of Research, Engineering and Advanced Leadership in Science, that would assure, they say, the Canadian Armed Forces and the CSE, Canada's cyber spy agency, have all the innovative solutions they need. So they're talking about things like AI and quantum security. This, of course, comes on the heels of another pitch by Mr. Carney last week to bring all sorts of new equipment to the military, including heavy icebreakers, new submarines, and whatnot. The NDP today talking about healthcare, saying it will hire 350,000 nurses between now and 2030. Of course, healthcare is provincial jurisdiction, but the NDP saying that that's something that there should be some action on a federal level with regards to. And they also say, Leader Jagmeet Singh says he will be bringing up healthcare in the debates, because right now it's not on the official agenda, Andrew.
And there seems to be out there, this is just a feeling, but there seems to be more heightened engagement with this election than maybe other elections. That could mean there could be more people watching the two debates this week, and we're learning some more details about them.
Well, listen, I'm enthusiastic. The Montreal Canadiens might have something to say about that, though, Andrew. There's a big Habs game on Wednesday. Depends, I'm told, how the Habs do tonight. They could clinch a playoff spot, but if tonight isn't decisive, will folks turn into this French language debate in such a pivotal election? It's an interesting and actually politically significant question. On Wednesday night, during the French language debate, the topics will be the cost of living, energy and climate, the trade war, identity and sovereignty, and immigration and foreign affairs. And then on Thursday, we'll see the leaders go head-to-head again on a second night. The topics then, affordability and the cost of living, energy and climate, leading in a crisis, public safety and security, tariffs and the threats to Canada. So no immigration there explicitly, no health care, but the dynamics themselves, Andrew, I got to tell you, I'm excited for these debates. I'm going down to Montreal to cover it for CBC Radio. Like, all these gentlemen, it is all men who are in these debates, all in the room for the same time, facing off against one another in what has been a really pivotal election. It's going to be really interesting to see the dynamics that develop, especially because Mark Carney doesn't have a seat in Parliament. We've never seen anything like this. There's no past experience in question period to refer to. So should be one to watch if you can tear yourself away from the Habs game on Wednesday.
And he's never debated at this kind of level.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think seeing how everybody positions themselves, who can keep their calm, who can look prime ministerial, who can elevate themselves, who can avoid getting frustrated. It's going to be fascinating.
Catherine, thank you. The CBC's Catherine Cullen live in Ottawa.